There's one system that secretly explains almost every song that you hear, and it's way simpler than you think. After years of teaching, I realized most players miss this shortcut, but once you see it, chord progressions suddenly make total sense. So I'm going to show you how this method works and how just a few notes unlock the logic behind your favorite music. Although it can be tough to make the major scale sound cool when you're first learning guitar, the truth is that it's the single most important scale for understanding how music works. The major scale has 7 different notes, and they're spaced like this: whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. On guitar, a whole step equals 2 frets, and a half step equals 1 fret. And that can go up or down. So this really creates the foundation of the musical number system. 1, a whole step up to 2, a whole step to 3, a half step to 4, a whole step to 5, a whole step to 6, a whole step to 7, and a half step back to 1. There is no 8. If you're calling the higher octave 8, stop right there. It's still the 1. There is no 8 inside of the major scale. Every major scale or key that we play in has chords that follow the exact same pattern. If we're talking about triads or 3-note chords, here's the layout. The 1 chord is going to be a major chord, the 2 chord a minor chord, 3 chord minor, 4 chord a major chord, 5 is major, 6 is minor. The 7 is diminished. It's a diminished triad, but it's rarely used. And we're back to 1 again. If these were 7th chords, which are very cool and very hip, looks like this: 1 major 7, 2 minor 7, 3 minor 7, 4 major 7. The 5 is a dominant 7, which is commonly messed up. The 6 is a minor 7. And the 7 chord is a minor 7 flat 5. It's also called half diminished. You really want to memorize this pattern because it's the same in any key, and it also can look the same on the neck no matter what key you're in. But a lot of guitarists, they stop at this theory level and never really connect it deeply to the fretboard. Let's fix that. So today, let's play in the key of G. And so if we start here G on the 3rd fret of the low E string, right? That's our 1. A whole step up, that's A, our 2, and another whole step up is B, our 3. I would recommend marking this little pattern of 1, 2, 3 as kind of a 3-note set. Visualize this little shape. Let's continue up the scale on the A string. So on the A string, the 3rd fret is going to be C. That's the 4 of our G major scale. The 5th fret is going to be D. That's the 5th of the G major scale. And finally, the 7th fret here, E, is the 6th note of the scale. So these 6 notes, G, A, B, and C, D, E, represent the 6 most common root notes for chords that you will use in popular music. I want to mention that I am intentionally skipping the chord built from the 7th note for right now. And you might ask why, and that is really because it's rarely used. But I will share later in this lesson a great use for it, and a lot of people miss out on this particular chord. One thing that I highly recommend is practicing humming or singing these root notes. G, A, B, C, D, E. It doesn't matter if your voice is bad. Eventually, if you do this, it's going to improve your ears and your ear training. And you'll be able to hear a song in the grocery store and recognize the chord progression without even touching a guitar. So if we kind of give ourselves the information that we learned earlier about the triads and the 7th chords, each of these root notes, we can play a chord, right? We're going to follow along with this shape that I showed you earlier, the 3-note set there and the 3-note set here. And if we follow that, in this key of G major, we're going to have G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, and E minor. Now I'm just using basic bar chords, but you can spice them up any way you like. Okay, if you want to get a little fancier, you could always turn these into the 7th chords. G major 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, C major 7, D dominant 7, and E minor 7. I'll make sure to put those in the free PDF that you can download from the link in the description. So a quick little tip on the side. Minor 7 chords are the most easily subbed chords. So for any of your minor triads, anytime, just feel free to insert a minor 7 chord instead. They sound great, and they're a bit less sad sounding and more mellow. So kind of like this. Here's our 1, our 2 and our 3, the 6 chord. And now for a quick word from the sponsor of today's video, my full course, Street Music Theory. This is the most straightforward music theory course on the internet made for guitarists. No standard notation required. You'll learn a step-by-step system to understand what you play, name it, and move it into all the keys that you need to play in, so that you can play more creatively and more confidently. Grab your copy today before the price goes up. Click that link in the description below. Now back to the lesson. So here's where this system becomes powerful. Once you visualize the root notes and chord shapes together, you can move them anywhere. If you need to play in F major, you just move everything down a whole step like this. So then you get F major, G minor, A minor, B flat major, C major, D minor. You've got all the chords that you need in the key of F. Do you need the key of A major? Move everything to start on the 5th fret A note here and follow that exact same pattern. The interval pattern and shape stays identical. You're just shifting positions on the neck. A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp. And classic chord progressions just sound awesome. And you're just thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I will say that it's also important for you to practice your chords from the A string root note as well. Let's use the key of C major, starting on the 3rd fret here of the A string. So your 1, 2, and 3 will be 3, 5, and 7 on that string. That's C, that's D, and that's E. And if you wanted to, you could continue up a half step to your 4, but I really like keeping it on those 3 kind of note sets, right? So we'll have that 1, 2, 3. And then you jump down to the low E, and at the 1st fret, that gives us F, G at the 3rd, and A at the 5th. So the 6 chord pattern is still just using these sets of 3 notes. And our chords in C major are going to be C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, and A minor. Just like any other key, this is completely copy and pastable to any key that you want to play in. If you turn on the radio right now, you'll hear these exact chords in different combinations everywhere. That's the number system, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in those common chords. This is sometimes called the Nashville number system, though it actually originated in classical music hundreds of years ago. You'll commonly see that classical approach using the old school Roman numerals, but that is not necessary. You can just use regular old numbers. Now for the special chord that I mentioned earlier in the lesson. What do we do with the 7th note of the scale? Since the 7 chord, the diminished triad, rarely shows up in popular music. Well, musicians often use something called a 5/7 chord. This means that we take the 5 chord, but instead of playing its root in the bass, we play its third in the bass, which happens to be the 7th note of the home scale. When you hear it, it sounds way more musical than the diminished chord. It's very soulful. Think of songs like Dust in the Wind, Landslide, Crazy Love, or even The Weight by the band. They all use this sound. Let's check it out. So in the key of G major, we have our 1, our 2, our 3, our 4, our 5, and our 6. Now for 1 second, I'm gonna skip that wacky little 7 chord. I'm gonna just jump up to the G major chord here using this A shape up at the 10th fret. Now commonly, if we want to use that F sharp note that lives right here at the 9th fret of the A string, there's this great chord. You hear Hendrix use it all the time, and it's this one. So for those caged people out there, this is part of the G shape D major chord. But for those of you who don't follow cage, no worries. All you have to know is this little pattern. That's D over F sharp. So I'm playing X, 9, 7, 7, 7. And this chord sounds wonderful as a transition between G major and E minor in this key, going up or down. So G major, D over F sharp, E minor, even go back up. Now that you understand the 6-chord system and how to play it confidently across the fretboard, watch this video next to learn the top 3 exercises that will skyrocket your playing before 2026.